The Find My Device network from Google just isn't ready. It's really not necessarily worth investing in for a lot of people. I recently lost my wallet that had a pebblebee tracker card in it, and this tracker card didn't help me locate it. It didn't update the location of it for more than 24 hours. And honestly, in some ways, it kind of felt like a waste of money purchasing this card to begin with. Now, in full transparency and disclosure, I've had videos on this channel sponsored by various Find My Device tracker manufacturers. The honest truth is that all of these trackers are great, but what isn't great is how Google has implemented the Find My Device network. And today we're going to talk about why that is and how it totally let me down when I lost my wallet. So this is something that happened about 2 months ago. I dropped my wallet in a parking garage here in Hanoi, Vietnam, while I was getting onto my motorcycle, and I found my wallet because the person who found it posted my information on Facebook, and one thing led to another, and they ended up contacting me, and I arranged them to pick it up. One of the things I love about Vietnam is, in general, most of the people here are pretty nice and honest. But it's not gonna happen every time, and I don't think this would be the same situation even in a lot of countries. I also wanna mention that the environment that all of these devices, I should say, are being tested in is honestly the perfect situation for the Find My Device network to excel. That's what makes a lot of this so disappointing. Really, that just comes down to population density and consumer choices here in Hanoi, Vietnam, being very much Android-centric, and thus these trackers should, in theory, work really well in most places. Unfortunately, when I have done other independent testing outside of losing my wallet, because I can assure you that this was not a test, my findings were a little bit lackluster. So I did a test recently where I gave my wife a pebblebee tracker, a mili tracker, and a chipolo tracker, and I gave her a predestined route around Hanoi to go drive around. She went to a couple of gas stations, she parked outside a couple of busy restaurants during lunch hour, and I got no updates of that until she walked into a Circle K, which is a relatively enclosed small convenience store here that oftentimes is crowded with people. Now, I want to make something clear. None of this is the tracker's fault. Any of these trackers' faults. And mili, chipolo, and possibly pebblebee, if you're watching this video, I still like your products, and I still think that you guys are making some of the best, most innovative products with tons of future-proofing features baked into the hardware you're shipping right now. That said, when Google implemented their Find My Device network about 1.5 years or so ago, they made it so that the default settings on all of the Android devices in the world favored privacy over securing your lost item, or for that matter, tracking your lost item. See, Google was afraid of someone putting a tracker like this on an individual person and using that person's cell phone to kind of share the data of where that person was, potential stalkers and other unwanted guests. Another thing that Google has done is that Google has also made it so that none of these Find My Device trackers will share location when you are in your home. That means that if you go through a neighborhood and there's a bunch of people with Android devices, if all of those people have labeled their houses as their home, it is unlikely for their devices to share the location of your device tracker. This, in contrast, is definitely not what Apple did. Apple prioritized making a Find My Device network that worked really, really well, yet gave the user, the individual, the responsibility to check alerts on their phone if a AirTag or even a Find My Device tracker from Google was moving with them, and their iPhone would alert them to a tracker being nearby that did not belong to them. Now, Google does allow you to change some of these settings on your device if you want your device to behave similar to the iPhone, meaning even in low density areas or when your device is the only one sharing location, your device can share the location of other Find My Device trackers. I find it interesting that Google gave individuals the option to do that, but did not make that the default. Unfortunately, Google making the default one that favored individual privacy over the actual usefulness of the network came at the cost of the network. Now, I would say that any of these Find My Device trackers from Mili, Chipolo, Pebblebee, etc. are all great things that you could use, let's say, for tracking your luggage when traveling internationally. In fact, I don't even think that there's another Find My Device network other than Apple's that's even worth investing into. When I got to use Samsung's Galaxy tags about 2.5 years ago, going through Japan, I had almost no pings for that Galaxy tracker because Japan is a Apple-dominated market. That kind of means that the Android device network is the second most powerful network, but unfortunately, Google does not want to leverage that. Now, I do find it interesting that Google has implemented ultra-wideband Bluetooth in their new Find My Hub, or Find Hub, which is what Google recently unveiled at Google I/O for Android, along with Material You Expressive and other things. I just wish that Google would change some of the default settings on all Android devices so that even if your Android device is the only one nearby, it would ping one of these trackers and update the location. I plan on doing some more tests with all of these Find My Device trackers and doing things like a range test, a loudness test to see which of these trackers has the loudest chirp, I should say. And I also look forward to some of the updates that are hopefully going to be coming to the Find My Device network in regards to compatibility with ultra-wideband Bluetooth and devices that support it. If you guys want to see that upcoming comparison, make sure you're subscribed. And I'd love to know what your experience has been with Find My Device trackers, if you've used a Chipolo, a Pebblebee, or a product from Mili, and whether or not you think it's worth it. Unfortunately, where things are right now, this network just isn't reliable enough to track your stuff, and it is still playing catch up to Apple in at least its effectiveness of finding devices, although I guess you could say it's exceeding Apple in regards to privacy. That's going to wrap up today's video. I appreciate everyone that has been commenting, liking, and subscribing. We're on the road to 30,000 subs, and every single one helps a ton. And until next time, peace.